Welcome to WO50. Women over 50 embody wellness and wisdom.
We sure do. And that's us. My name is Corrine, and I'm here with my BFF, Dr. Eddi Canny.
Hi, Ken.
Hi. We had a great conversation today talking about work-life balance, which is so important.
It sure is.
Balance in life is everything. We talked about balance in work, balance in life, balance with our families and our friends and our, emotionally, physiologically.
Yes, and we also pointed out that anyone who is 60 can now say they're sexty.
That's my new favorite. All right, so enjoy this conversation about work-life balance. Hello, my BFF.
Hello, my BFF.
How was your week?
My week was great. It was full, and yeah, the weather's getting nicer. Well, we had a few warm days, but it's back to being, almost January again. But it'll warm up. It's all, it's a day at a time.
I was at a pool party yesterday.
Oh, wouldn't you be? Yes. Of course you were at a pool party. I was watching icebergs.
It was yeah. Well, the icebergs are very beautiful.
They are.
But it was nice.
How was your pool party?
Oh, it was so lovely. Our friend Jamina had a party because she's house sitting for this really nice house that has an amazing pool outside and just like, a barbecue outside and couches, and it's just gorgeous, right? And so she decided when she was house sitting this time that she wanted to kind of bring some of her girlfriend groups together. And so she invited, I think 12 people. I think there was 9 of us there. And it was from like maybe 3, like I knew some of them I know very well, some of them, okay. And then a few of them I didn't know at all, that we hadn't met yet, but I heard their names. So she was excited to bring her friend group, but it also happened to be a week before her birthday. So we decided separately to make it like a little surprise birthday, because Jamina's, as we both know, is like the best celebration person ever for anybody's birthday. I mean, for my last year's birthday, when you were here, Ed, and Kathy was here from Atlanta, and Jamina was here. Jamina comes walking into the backyard with a like a music box on her head and dancing to, what was it she was dancing? Celebrate good times, come on. And she was wearing like a rainbow skirt and things. And then you guys dolled me up in all kinds of funny hats
tutus.
And stuff. Tutus. And it went on for a couple of days.
Oh, and she had on a clown nose.
Yeah.
Big red clown nose. Mm-hmm. She knows how to party, that girl.
She knows how to party. And so we had a great afternoon, and we had good conversations because we were all in the hot tub, which can fit like 30 people, the hot tub, at one point towards the end of the day. And she goes, I love that my friends are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s.
That's great.
Yes. So it was a wide range of women there. And so you can imagine we had some great conversation.
Wow. And Corinne, this is a great segue into our topic this week, work-life balance. Great age groups, 30, 40, 50, 60. You worked in a pool. I just even saw that now there's in LA, like there's Airbnbs everywhere. They now have Airbnbs for pools. You can actually Airbnb someone's pool.
Well, that would be great because I look for pools wherever I go.
Yeah. So this is a new thing. So I'm like, how great is that? You don't have to own the pool, but you can go and enjoy it and, pay for it just like an Airbnb in Switzerland so that's so cool when I saw it. So that's
without even staying there. You can just go use the pool for the day.
For like 2 to 4 hours, or, you just block out times, and I'm like, that is the best. Coolest. Yes.
Oh my gosh. We got to do that. Because I bought some air mattresses for yesterday. It was a little bit cool. It was kind of sunny off. Well, it was a little bit cool. It was 75 instead of 80.
75. Was it 75? Really? Yeah. We're just getting to 45.
Sorry. It's cool. All perspective. Life is all perspective, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're embracing the Wim Hof method of cold plunges. I'm really going to embrace that now. I won't even mind a cold shower anymore.
See?
Nope. See what happens?
That's one of the latest trends, the cold things.
And you had a hot tub too.
But I don't like hot tubs. I only had my little tippy toes in. I'm not a big hot tub fan.
It was so cold, 75. Wow.
And the gluten-free, dairy-free keto cake I made was a huge hit.
Oh, awesome. I can't wait to try
I
it.
can't wait to make it for you. I'm so excited.
Me too. Very excited.
It was really delicious. It was like an Italian cream cake, coconut pecan,
Wow. And it's gluten-free, dairy-free, and keto.
and
See, it
keto.
can be done.
It absolutely can be done. I couldn't find a recipe for that. I watched like 3 different recipes. So I watched the actual recipe is a keto recipe, which of course is going to be gluten-free because they're going to use almond flour and coconut flour, right? But it was not vegan. It was not, well, it wasn't, still wasn't vegan, it said eggs, but it wasn't dairy-free.
Mhm.
And so it was keto and gluten-free. So then I had to find the other part of it. So then because a vegan cream cheese and vegan butter work very differently. Like I had to find which ones to use. And then I was looking at all the ingredients, and vegan butter has shit ingredients, like
Yeah.
terrible, like canola oils and stuff and
Yep.
all this stuff. So I found one cream cheese and one butter that was good. It was more, of course, more expensive. It was a very expensive cake. But it had like avocado oil and coconut oil in it rather than all the other crappy stuff.
But you could eat it.
Well, I could have eaten it, but Jamina's dairy free and gluten free, so I could have
Yes.
had it with the real. But it was like a vegan cream cheese icing that I made it, and so I wasn't sure because I had pieced together recipes, and I didn't taste the cake, so I didn't know till everybody bit into it. I licked the ice cream, or the icing when I was icing it, and that was really good. Vegan cream cheese icing actually was quite delightful, keto with some keto sugar in it, but the cake part, but it was actually really delightful. It was a technique where you fold in the whipped egg whites because coconut almond flour can be quite dense in a cake and not really fluffy at all. Yeah. And so I'd made the batter and with the yolks, and then I whipped the egg whites with cream of tartar to make them really stiff. And then you very gently fold in, and that's what makes the cake fluffier.
Oh, that's a great idea. I made shortbread cookies, and all I used was almond flour and butter.
Right.
Perfect.
No, yeah, because there's no eggs in shortbread. Yeah.
No, it's just, and it was
just
so
butter
easy.
and flour usually.
Just almond flour and butter.
And your keto sweetener.
Yes, a little bit of monk fruit. Yes. And it was actually so good. They were so good. And I made them just little bite size. So, when you have a cup of tea or you want a little snack, they're easy. Yeah. So
as you get older, it becomes a little more challenging to keep your energy up. I feel like that's why I have changed my eating patterns a couple of times over the years. Is that like when I was younger, I could eat whatever I wanted. I mean, you've never been able to eat whatever you wanted, but I could eat gluten, dairy, I could eat licorice. You even told me that one time, I think it was 28 or 29 years old. And I said, I'm good with sugar. She goes, you said, yeah, you're fine in moderation, but it's not too bad for you.
Yeah.
And then,
and then when menopause happened, then we started to talk a different story.
Well, perimenopause first, right?
Well, yeah, because that's when all the hormones start to change. And next podcast we should talk about hormones. That?
Yes, I know that's got it coming up. Okay, we'll talk about hormones next.
Yeah, and I saw, just on a little note, I just saw on the news, which I don't start my day off with the news, but it was nice news this morning, and I was just on my way out the door for a walk, and this nice newscaster podcaster said, oh, the science is in on bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, and I'm waiting for the negative, but didn't happen. They were like, now they have enough time to have double-blind study and have proven it. And I'm going, well, I think it's because there's enough menopausal women that probably would have shut the TV channel down if they had said something negative. So they had some positive updates. Yeah,
that's good.
So,
something you've known for many, many years.
Yeah, for at least 35. Yeah.
Okay, but that's next. Few. That's next podcast.
That's going to be the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. So today we're talking about work-life balance, which I started off, I said, because I was talking to some of the ladies about it yesterday. So there was a girl who was in her early 30s that was there, very sweet girl, friend of Jamina's, singer-songwriter. So I love talking to young singer-songwriters. And she said, oh, I'm going to go home soon. And everybody had started to leave, but I had planned on staying another hour or two. And I said, well, why? Because I wanted to get to know her. She goes, I'm tired. And what person of our generation would ever say they're leaving a party because they're tired? It's like you might say, oh, I've got things to do or something, but you never say I'm actually tired. I think now that we're older, we would say that. We have no problem admitting that, but I was like, good for you, to know when your body is tired and listen to your body when you're, 31 years old. And she said, my mom, waited tables. And when I was born, she said, I never want you to have to work as hard as I have. And she really just instilled that in her, and to listen to her, because her mom had a lot of pains. And then when another girl walked in who just turned 60, and she calls it sexty, by the way. And I'm like, I could get into that.
Yep.
You're turning 60 in October.
I love that.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. No, that's what I said. I said, you're turning 60 in October. That's what I just said. I was jumping around a little bit. So this woman, she walks in and she goes, oh yeah. She goes, I'm glad you're looking after your body now, because she said, now at 60 years old, I got so many aches and pains, and I worked way too hard. You work, because when you're young, you do have the energy to work hard. I mean, I was doing, 7 massages a day in my 30s, sometimes 7 days a week for 3 weeks straight.
Well, this is why the balance is so important, because the early on, you were meditating and teaching yoga, and you had some self-care techniques.
I did have self-care while I was doing that. Yeah,
you did.
Yeah.
And I did as well, which is why as we've been, moving through the aging process, our bodies haven't taken a big hit, where a lot of people who are 60 have sore muscles and bone density issues and aches and pains and arthritis. And that's pretty common. Like, it's
very common.
Yeah. The more you work in the work-life balance, sometimes, like the lady that was waiting tables, sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
My daughter's a hairdresser, and she works really hard and raising 2 kids, and she's on her feet all the time. And every now and again, I'm throwing a massage certificate for her to go do it, or trying to tell her how important it is to take time to rest her body. But, unless they're kind of forced sometimes, or someone comes along with a gift certificate, they forget it. So we have to put ourselves, back in the picture early on.
Yeah, or the earlier the better. I think that's one thing I think we learn as we age, as we get older, as we live more years on the planet. I think most of us do take care of ourselves a little bit more if we can, because it does take time and energy, and sometimes does cost money to look after extra money to look after yourself as well. So I know I've certainly spent probably hundreds of thousands of dollars on prevention my whole life,
Oh, me as well. Not only on products and courses, but schooling and supplements, and yes, so many things. But everybody's different. But there's so many variables, but the common denominator is we have to balance it out. We can't be in push mode with high levels of cortisol for too long. The body's going to kick up stink.
Yeah. And then emotionally,
yeah.
And emotionally, there's no joy too. Remember, we went and got our hair blown out because I'd cut my finger when you were here last time. And so we went and had a blowout, and this young girl was working on me. She must have been 22 years old. And she said, yeah, my boyfriend and I, we're going to go on a vacation next month, because we were talking. It's like all we do is we work, then we come home, we go to bed, it starts all over again, and then we'll take a vacation. I said, yeah, that's not a way to live. I said, you have to have happiness and joy in every moment, or you won't be happy, because we do work long hours in our culture. And if you're not happy at work and find that balance somehow for yourself, you're not going to have joy. And oh my gosh, she welled up with tears. Which I made her cry within the first minute of sitting in her chair, which is kind of the norm for me. But then I said, I'm hitting a chord with you you have to have joy, somehow find joy in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And sometimes it's just you have to walk outside, or a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people go to their phones and look at other people, doing things, and that sometimes that can make you feel worse.
Totally, totally. It's all about
Mhm.
the dopamine. We are dopamine junkies. I recommend this book called Dopamine Nation, and our brain is hardwired for many things, for recognizing patterns, for dopamine. Like when something feels good, we want more of it, and it goes back to like thousands of years actually of makes us want to, you know, I forget what, I can't forget what it was, but anyway, the things what we find joy in, it makes us want to go back and do it again. And so you don't realize that looking at your phone, you think is going to bring you happiness. And sometimes it does, like you said, and half the time it probably doesn't. If you see somebody that you're jealous of or that you're not there, you feel envious, all those different emotions can come up. And so it's a false, it can be a false hit. So other dopamine hits and finding balance. Well, how do you find balance in your life, Ed?
Well, I love nature. I love getting outside. I love being active. Meditation, yoga is always a big part of my life, and nature's a big part. And lately, my pickleball games is great. Tennis, bicycling, once the weather gets warm, just sometimes too. The other day, the sun came out and we hadn't had the sun in days. And I just grabbed my cup of tea and I walked outside and I sat down and I just sat with the sun hitting my face because I'm going, okay, there's nothing coming into my head going, this is soon going to go. How long is this going to last? I just sat with that moment. Those
Mm-hmm.
practices you often teach people. Just enjoy what this is in the moment. And the sun felt so beautiful. And for people that live in places where the sun is there all the time, don't take that for granted, you know? And then today I also had to reflect and go, wow, just over in the province next to us, Halifax, they have these fires now,
I
and
heard.
Alberta just further away, and BC, and there's all this heat that's going on. And they're all at, 30 Celsius, and
Already in May.
we're at 9 Celsius. So I'm going, okay, I'm going to enjoy this. It's not going to
Yeah.
soak in this heat,
And
just without story. Yeah.
yeah. But also you have many, many other things that you do for balance, not just nature. You
Oh,
get
foods.
massages,
Oh, yes, I get massages, acupuncture, osteopathic work.
your
Um,
grandchildren.
my grandchildren are so much fun, and balancing my mom in, my family members. I have nephews and nieces and sisters and brothers, and there's a lot to juggle in.
Yeah.
And it's just taking the time, to give them a call. You're the same. You do the same with your mom and your siblings, checking in. But there's a lot to balance. And then I have my work, which I love. And
But
but
but you limit, like you've always been really good at, like when I knew you, when you first started being a naturopath, you pretty much have always worked 4 days a week,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is awesome.
I like to have the long weekend. Now, if I have to work an extra day, but yeah, I try and keep my work weeks light. So even on the days I work, I'll do a 3 to 4 day work week now, but I'll juggle some of those times around now to fit in some of the things I'm liking to do. So for the season that I'm in, whether it's skiing, cross country ski, or it could be the pickleball or tennis. So I work that in so I don't feel with a lot of people that I know, they've had compassion burnout, or they've had, such conflict around their work life because they haven't taken enough self time, personal care time. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
balance. It's a juggling act.
Yeah, it is all about balance, and nobody's gonna help you find your balance, because your family's always going to want more of your time. If you work for somebody else, they're always going to want more of your time. If you're self-employed, your clients are going to want more of your time. Like nobody can balance your schedule but you, and so you have to somehow prioritize you. Take a look at it, and the signs are, your body will tell you if you're too tired all the time, or you're irritated, or you're frustrated, or you're sad, or too overly emotional. These are all just signs of a little bit of burnout and a lack of balance. You've got to find the joy, whatever that is. Eddi and I find a lot of joy in music. We're constantly sending each other songs. We play music together on retreats. And so that is a full joy. Plus the fact that we are very blessed. I think it's part of who we are, but we do love, like, even our work, like I remember my favorite saying has always been, happiness is an inside job, right? That's a Joseph Campbell saying. And I've had that sticker, I've had it for 35 years, since I first started meditating. And I remember somebody said, well, I don't like that because there's the word job in it, and I'm like, but a job and work to me is joy, because I've always had joy in everything that I've ever done. So job and work don't mean, because I've also been self-employed my whole life. But I know for somebody who doesn't find as much joy in their work, and usually it's because they're burned out and they don't have boundaries.
Yes, and they should call it a joyb.
That's right.
It's a joyb. 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 Like sexty. We're making up all kinds of new words. We might have a book out called Joyb.
Joyb. Everybody needs a joyb.
What is your joyb?
Sounds like a sex tool.
It sounds like I'm from New Jersey. What's your joyb? What do you work at? Do you have work-life balance?
Oh my gosh. So yeah. Lovely. So nobody's going to balance you but you. So you have to do it, and you have to figure out what is good for you. What do you enjoy doing? I know I'm talking to a lot of clients these days about what their retirement is going to look like, because they're retiring in maybe 5 or 10 years. And it's nice now to start thinking about, like, how do you want to spend your retirement? Because you do want to keep busy and have a worthy feeling inside. Some people want to focus more time on travel and their grandchildren. Sometimes that's changed for you. Sometimes people have some changes in their lifestyle where travel is put off, or like COVID stopped the retired, peeps from traveling for a bit. But everything's hustle and bustle now again. But it's also looking at taking time to look at other things that are out there that you never dreamed you would do. It could be art, it could be a language, studying to teach English somewhere. It could be, painting or sculpting, woodworking. I mean, there's men think of different hobbies they would like to do. Women, that's the thing. We have to look at, we've raised the children, or we're in our careers and loving what we've done, but now it's shifting a bit. So when that shift starts to happen, that's usually around the 50 mark, I'd say that's why it's called menopause. It's pause. Makes time to pause.
Yeah, it's time to pause and just reflect on your life. And so is everything you're doing giving you lots of joy now? And, just kind of self-evaluation and just ask yourself, what are some other things you would like to do? What would you like to add to your, calendar that would give you joy, that is exciting to learn? Even music, like I love to learn different instruments, and I love my guitar, and I try different things. Didn't you take a guitar lesson today?
I did. Yeah. I learned a new picking. I love picking, how much I love finger picking.
Yes.
And I hadn't, my guitar teacher I've had for 30 years. And she's played guitar with Alison Krauss and Tanya Tucker and Martina McBride. She's amazing, Ellen. Yep. And she's also an amazing teacher. Have you ever taken a lesson with her?
No, I wish.
I was thinking about when you come here in 2 weeks, do you want me to book a lesson?
I would love a lesson.
Oh, you would so love her.
Yes, because I kind of watch what people do, and then I take it and
You
kind of
learn.
go with it.
Well, you're
Yeah.
so good. You're self-taught, and you are such a talented musician and can do things that I can't do, but you've taught on your own. But what Ellen does is she takes where you are, and she teaches super expert people to super beginners and everybody in between. She takes where you are and she enhances it greatly. And that's what, because when I first went to her, when I was first writing songs, and when I was probably 26 when I first went to her, and I didn't know what I wanted to learn. I knew I didn't want to learn music theory, and I told her that. And she goes, okay, we don't have to do any theory. She goes, a couple years down the road if you want to. And she's thrown in little bits, but we haven't done really much music theory. And so she said, but she taught me how to play my songs better. So I would show her my songs, and then she said, okay, this chord will be better this way you do it here, so it would ring out better, and to at my level. And as I've gotten better, she's, so anyways, I'm super excited for you to experience. And so that's what we're talking about. This is, as finding balance in your life can be something like learning an instrument or getting better at your instrument, which is also very good for your brain, going to a dance class if you've always wanted, like anything you learn new. And so Jill Bolt Taylor, the amazing neuroscientist that had My Stroke of Insight book, she has a new book out and a new podcast. You have to listen to it. She was interviewed on Buddha at the Gas Pump just last week. And she's got a book out called Whole Brain Living. And she feels like this is the reason why she had the stroke. And she talks about how the different, it's kind of it's a mapping system she has for the brain, which is another system kind of thing, but it's still interesting how she's done it and how she's laid it out. But one of the things I loved about the interview and her point was that for the past 100 years, if somebody was talented in math or science, they would go a certain route down math and science. If someone was talented in music, they go a certain route down more arts. She said it should be opposite. And then the interviewer said, well, I don't get that, because a musician wouldn't want to be in a science class. She goes, no, but a musician can learn music theory, which I never did. And you never did either.
No,
My sister.
I went the science path.
You did go the science
medicine.
path. So you did a balance that way. But, to learn, and that's why I think you and I've always felt like that about you, both of us, is we actually do have a good handle on both the different aspects, like the technical aspects and the focus aspect and the creative aspect as well. But people usually do the opposite. They want to stay in their lane, but it's key is challenging yourself.
I always say, ride your edge.
Yep.
Ride your edge. It's is it fear or excitement that's moving through when we go, oh, maybe if I take this lesson, the fear of the unknown can be excitement as well.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I wonder what I'll learn if I take up ukulele, or and it's also the connections you make when you tap into an area that's not your comfort zone, but yet can become that comfort zone, because you're allowing yourself to explore.
And then you have a sense of satisfaction, and you're proud of yourself too, which makes you even more likely to try something new again. Tony Robbins used to tell this story about, in being in a seminar with a guy who said he had a lot of fear and anxiety. And he said, well, can you describe your fear and anxiety to me? And the guy said, well, I get heart palpitations, and I start to sweat a little bit, and I start to hyperventilate a little bit. And so Tony talked him through that. And a couple of weeks later, he was on a plane, and he happened to sit beside Bruce Springsteen. And he said to Bruce, he said, oh my gosh, it must be so exhilarating to sing in front of 50,000 people. And Bruce said, yeah, it is. And he goes, can you describe that experience? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I kind of almost start to hyperventilate a little bit. I start to sweat, and my heartbeat races a little bit. And it was exactly the same description as you were saying. It's like we interpret in our brain. I would never call some of the things that have happened to me anxiety, because I just don't. I think some low level of anxiety is normal. Some low level of fear is normal. Of tension is normal, in life, and it's being resilient to that is the key. And so, so it's how you interpret those feelings inside is the key.
Well, I really experienced a lot of anxiety growing up. I had no clue that was anxiety until years later. And I'm going, oh my God, even when we've sat around in groups and it comes around for me to speak, I'm better now. But, back a few years ago, my heart would beat. It's just like I was Bruce Springsteen. But I would have that, the my face would go red, my heart, I could feel in my throat. I know that feeling. But as a child and a teenager and a young adult, I didn't call that anxiety. I called it nerves. Oh, it's
Mhm.
just my nerves. It's just my nerves. And now that it's like, it's like a focus issue when people go, oh, I didn't know I had ADHD, and they're 50 years old going,
Mm.
I just got diagnosed ADHD. I'm going, well, how does your life change now for you? What did you do before knew this information? Well, I just tried to really sit with a person and, really focus on what they were saying because I knew I got distracted easy. I was like, perfect, because nothing else is going to change knowing this information. Now that you know it, you go, okay, I know if something catches my eye, squirrel, you're some shiny object, we get turned to it. So we're like, oh, excuse me for a second, just got distracted. And that's okay. So sometimes some of these diagnoses, we take them as a label that makes us feel lesser for some reason. And it's,
Or you get stuck in the box.
yeah, exactly.
You get stuck in the box. That's what I see with my clients. I mean, cancer. Oh my gosh, I can't. The word cancer, the word anxiety, they're just so loaded for people. And people will say, my cancer. Please
Mhm.
don't ever say my cancer, even if you
My
have
anything, my
some form,
anything.
my anything. It's like it's
Yeah.
not yours, it's happening to you. It's kind of like the
Yeah.
first thing you teach, when you're a parent or a teacher or something, is not you're a bad child, you have bad
Hmm.
behavior.
Yeah.
So it's not your cancer, your anxiety. It's some anxiousness is running through you. You have some health issues to deal
Hmm.
with that might have a longer, basal cell name that might not have as much charge to it.
But it's learning the language. It's learning, even with some of my patients when they come in and they're diagnosed cancer and they're really upset about it because we know that word is loaded, right? It's just
Mhm.
loaded
So
with a
much fear.
lot of fear and sometimes it's got a history, it's got a background. So, but I say to people, if we can soften it and just call it congestion, the body's congested. A cold is congested. It's minor congestion, and cancer is more of a more severe congestion. But there's still lots of tools out there that are available to work on these areas, whether it's
Mhm.
a cold, a flu. We know people die of pneumonia and people die of cancers, but not everybody does.
Yeah.
So we got to find that common ground, that language around what we own, because even an emotion for a minute, I'm feeling my depression. Well,
Mhm.
it's better. I'm feeling some depression move in. Okay, let's work with that. It's like
Mhm.
as soon as they say my, go, oh, is it yours or does it belong to somebody else? It's like
Mhm.
some people aren't ready for that language, for that talk. They
Mhm.
want to have that.
They want to own it because their family pays more attention to them when they have my cancer. Then their family
Or
might bring them flowers and have more compassion for them.
maybe, or it's just conditioned. It's all they know because every family member that had cancer had this reaction. Oh my God, right? And that's their reaction until they go, nope, nope, nope. This is not how I want to deal with it. I've got a good team around me. I have a good medical doctor, a good oncologist, a good naturopath, a good massage person. I have a good osteopath. I have well, whoever your team is, then that means you're not doing this all by yourself. You got
Mhm.
a team. And again, that's work life balance because illness can hit at any time in our lives, at
And
any
it
time.
usually is if it's something a little more serious, is usually some kind of wake up call for people. I mean, it's not all the time that you know there are people that are super healthy that do everything right
Mm-hmm.
that get sick,
Mm-hmm.
but mostly it's people that have not had balance in their lives that somehow something happens and they get to look at life differently, get to change things and do things differently, don't you think?
Well, in my experience with some of my peeps that I've seen in my clinic, they say, I would have never eaten this way.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never got all my things in order. if this hadn't happened. I would not have had those talks I needed to have with all these people in my life if this hasn't happened, you know, or hadn't happened. So everybody's different. And that's kind of what I think I try and counsel people on as you do, is let's lighten up what this load is and try and get more of the joy residing in our body, even with a diagnosis like that's something heavy like that. But that takes a team. You know,
Support.
that takes a lot of work-life balance. You know, a lot of people, they're like, I can do it on my own. I don't need this and this and this. Well, let's see. But most of the time, it takes a team around you.
Yeah. Takes a village.
It does. It takes a little tribe, you know. It's like with women, and they, you know, expect their husbands to listen to, or wife to listen to every single thing and fix every single thing. No, that's why we have friends. We have friends to help with that. You know, you're my best friend of almost 40 years of my life. How can someone that is in my life for a handful of years or 10 years or 50 know me the way you do? They know me in a different way, but there's going to be some things I just want to talk to you about to get the, you know, yeah, that's right. Let it go. And then it's softer, where someone else, they don't have the tools or the technique. They just want to go, it'll pass. It's okay. But you're needing something else, right? So knowing what you need from the people in your life is so important. And one person doesn't do everything for you.
Yeah. Not supposed to.
No. This is why we have connections. This is why, you know, Jane Fonda said, I love her. And she said she let a lot of her girlfriends go in her 50s and 60s and got them, you know, new girlfriends now in her 80s. And they are who she treasures, right? She loves them in her life. And so she had to experience that to understand how important that is. So I love having you in my life, Corrine.
Yes, we're very, very lucky.
Yeah.
People are in our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And you're my lifetime.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a lifetime. That's right.
Well, that was another deep dive, Ed.
It sure is. Until we meet again.
Be well. Be happy. Be authentic. Be yourself.
Be kind.
Just be.